Is this the right boat for you? Are you considering club racing or just some weekend exploration, a little coastal cruising? You know, could this be the right boat to do those things? We're going to answer those questions and more. Today we're in a beautiful 2024 Jeanneau Odyssey 349. This boat could be a great boat for club racing on the weekends or perhaps some weekend excursions. We're going to take a practical look at the boat and see how somebody would use this boat on a regular basis and see how comfortable it is. And we're also going to have a section by the numbers where we're going to cover how long can you go based on the capacity of this boat without having to replenish. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so take into consideration that this is a 34-foot boat. One of the things that we have to pay attention to is our cabin height. On this particular boat, you only have about a 6'5" cabin height at the entryway of the Saloon, which is, you know, right as I get to the companionway door. But as I move further in, the cabin height gets reduced significantly. So it's only like a 6'1" here. And if I get into the stateroom, my head is going to be right inside of our hatch. So if you're a tall person, taller than 6 feet, this boat may be a little cramped for you as you start using it. So again, that's a consideration. You always want to consider how tall you are and make sure that the boat is going to fit you. From a sleeping arrangement standpoint, you're going to have a forward berth cabin. It's going to narrow as you go forward towards the anchor locker, and it's going to be a full berth, meaning you're going to climb from the foot of the bed and, you know, basically go head towards the V or flip around, go in fit first, but then you're going to be basically spinning around every time you go in. The challenge with this particular berth is that it's very narrow. Even though is consider a double, is probably comfortable for only one person or two very skinny folks. I knocked my head on the on the crossway. So for somebody that's big like me, I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, 280 pounds, so I basically can reach both sides. So if I were to lay down here, I would take most of the bed. So that's just a reality on this particular boat. The way it was designed with about coming in at a very sharp point. The other thing is there's not a lot of storage in here, even though you can close the doors and get some privacy. It really doesn't give you a whole lot of space for storage on the boat. On this particular boat, your water tank is right under the forward berth, so there's really very limited storage. You have a little bit of space on shelves here on the side, but nothing that is going to give you some staying power as far as having storage available. As we look forward into the cabin, you're going to have some storage underneath the cushions, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. But you can see that the seating area is pushed all the way to the liner, or basically your hull. So you have some storage space, and underneath you can lift those boards to have access to plumbing and electric and things that are being run along the length of the boat. Same thing on this side. You're going to have some storage, so you can use some of the space for clothing items, or you can use it for food, or food stores that you can keep on the boat. On the starboard side of the boat, you have your water heater, and you have some storage space. So that's where they're keeping some additional lines, some electric, and sail bags. Behind the sitting area, you have a slider, but really it gets you to the hull of the boat. There's maybe 3 inches of space, so you can store some things in here, but it's not very practical. You know, as I go aft, it's going to get a little wider, but again, not a whole lot of space for additional storage. On the port side of the boat, you have the same scenario. You have some storage available on the top side. Close this up. And then you have storage under the sitting area. But you also have, again, your air conditioner your ductwork. So you still have plenty of space. It's actually a pretty decent space. So you could store additional food or items like that, clothing. The catch is you have to make sure you're not interfering with the equipment because you have plumbing and electrical running through the space. So you probably want to do maybe an additional floor here to get on top of the plumbing, so you're not interfering with that or causing a problem. You also have storage behind, but again, very limited. You have the hall right there, and the space is usable. You can probably store some canned goods and things like that right back there. And again, you have two other sections right there. The boat has some space for kind of your liquor cabinet, and also for your wine bottles down here. And the center table opens up relatively easily. You just lift it up, and you can have 6 to 8 people sitting around for a dinner or something like that. The only catch is it really takes all of the space, and you have to slide in order to get fully seated. So the way this boat was designed primarily for folks that want to do weekend sailing, or they want to do some racing. Everything is very lightweight inside of the boat. Um, so the cushions are Velcro, so they're very easy to remove. The storage space, basically they push the living space all the way to the hall, so there's not a lot of storage behind the rest area, the rest cushions. So really they were looking for a lightweight design and making it good for club racing or for weekends. One nice thing Jeanneau did on this design is that they created a foldable Nav Station, so it gives you additional seating and increases the length of the settee, or you can pull the bench out to sit an additional person when you're having dinner or entertaining. The aft stateroom actually provides more sleeping space because you have a true double, and they pushed it out behind the engine compartment to give you more space because this model of this boat has the storage locker, and I'll show you that. So it gives you hanging space. You have a nice size hanging locker and shelving. The boat also has a nice ledge space here to put books or other items, and a fan and lighting. The boat has panels and it has port lights and access to the hatch, so you can get a lot of natural light in here during the day. All right, going into the head. So watch your head, don't smack it. The head design is actually pretty nice on this particular boat. They give you a full-size toilet, and the floor is raised. So it's going to be a relatively dry head. One nice thing of having the head designed this way, so they angle the toilet so it's in a way that you can sit comfortably, have leg room to stretch your legs, and be able to use it and be comfortable. So in other boats, the angle of the head, even though we have a full-size angle, your knees are touching the wall. So this was actually a very nice thing that Jeanneau did with this boat. Jeanneau also, on this particular boat, give you a door, like an enclosure for the shower, and they actually give you some height. So it's actually very comfortable. I think up to 6'3", 6'4", maybe fit comfortable in here. And you can see there's a height difference. So when you have the door closed, you're only going to have water in the shower stall. Shower is adjustable, and you have a rod for hanging your towel or wet items. So if you're a scuba diver or swimming, you can put all your wet clothes in here. It also has a nice shelf area to put your bath items. So this door you see here leads into the aft locker, where you have the battery switches and breakers located. And it's a storage area, which is pretty big. You can see the plumbing. What you see right there is the hall. Then you have a hatch, uh, which can give you access from the outside or the inside. Now, the only catch is, how organized are you? In getting your things in here, because this could be one of those places where once you put it in here, it never comes out. So you have to be mindful of the ventilation and how you organize the space. So the only thing I don't like about the space, the door is in the shower stall. So that door is going to get wet every time you shower. And you're going to have moisture going into that space every time you shower. So you have to be mindful of using damp rid or putting something on that space that is going to keep the moisture down to a minimum. Now, the Jeanneau 349 has a very nice galley. It has storage underneath the sink, so you can keep your cleaning products. You have your garbage can. It has a single stainless steel sink, but it does have fresh water and it has salt water. You can see the pedal for the pump down here. You're also going to have a nice size refrigerator, and we'll talk about the numbers here in a second. But the Jeanneau always did a great job with the sliding baskets that can be removed so you can get to the items on the bottom. There's also a drain for the refrigerator, so if you defrost it to put it away, you have a way for the water to go to. As far as storage is concerned, for the size of the boat, it's not bad. It has some good size lockers where you can keep your food stores. It has shelving, which this one is for your utensils. But then you have other storage shelves available, and you have a section for the pots and pans. For your cooking, you're going to have a 2-burner low pressure gas or propane stove with an oven, and you're going to have a microwave. Now, there's plenty of natural light. I have the curtains closed just because it's pretty bright and hot outside. You're going to have dead lights throughout on the cabin side. You're going to have a port light available on top of the stove so the fumes can have a place to go when you're cooking. So as we look at the outside of the boat came already equipped with a bowsprit. You could add your asymmetrical or your spinnaker to it. It has one anchor roller that comes into a nice windlass inside of the anchor locker. Jeanneau chose to run the line for your roller furling cut through the deck and put it above the cabin top heading to the cockpit, so you can control it from the cockpit side, versus a lot of boats will put it along the stanchions and pull it from the back port or starboard side of the boat. The weather decks are pretty wide, which is comfortable and great when you're trying to do some sailing and some maneuvering. The lines are run aft into the cockpit, but they're exposed on the top. You have a nice solar panel. The hatches are deck level and they have the exhaust fans installed on them. The sail on this particular boat is a standard sail plan with a stack pack. If you're doing some raising, a lot of people prefer it because they can get batten sails, which if you know how to trim your boat properly will squeeze another quarter to a half a knot when you trim your sails. The rigging is a double spreader aft swept design coming in, and the only challenge with this particular design is you have one shroud that is coming to outboard on the boat, which is perfect because it's out of the way, but you have a secondary shroud that is coming diagonally in your path on the weather deck. So when you come to this section, you're going to have to weave underneath, especially if the boat is heeling. This is going to be further down. You're going to have to bend down to get past it, which affects your center of gravity and your balance, so you have to be careful. In the rigging for the running gear, some of the things that Jeanneau took from the dinghy racing world is they eliminated the sail track that you have on all standard boats, and they went to a harness style line control for your, these are the sheets for your head sail. So basically you can release the line and let the line come up or down, which in a way changes the angle. That would be the same as you having a track and then you're sliding your car on the track aft or forward, depending on what the wind conditions are and how you want the sail shape to be. Now this, I think, in my view, limits your options. I think the track gives you more options, but for the average sailor or club racer, this is probably as close to the position where they would want it as you would think. Same thing applies to the mainsail. So instead of having a traveler, hard traveler installed here, they went with a harness. Now the position of the harness is not going to change a whole lot. I mean, it will slide a little bit this way or that way if it goes down when you're heeling. But really what you're controlling at this point is everything is from center, and you can let your sail out or bring it in. So, you know, if you're a racer, you may like this design better. If you're a cruiser, you will more likely would like to have the standard traveler. Now, the design on your Bimini and Dodger is a little bit different than what you're seeing. Usually those two pieces are connected. On the Jeanneau, they're separate. So you have a lower Dodger that has a steeper sweep angle. So if you take waves over the bow, water will splash up. And then you have the Bimini sitting on top. Now the catch with that is that for somebody tall like me, you have to bend over in order to get into the cockpit, which affects your center of balance, especially if you're sailing, and it's something that you have to manage. So I'm going to show you. So if I'm stepping out into the weather deck, I have a handhold, but then when I step down, I have to bend over, and when I get over, I'm hitting the Bimini. I have to squash down and keep walking forward. Now there's another handrail up here that I can grab, but coming back into the cockpit, if I'm heeling over, I'm basically going to have to squat down to basically crawl in the very small steps to get enough space to get over the coaming to get back into the cockpit. Now the cockpit is well laid out, is very roomy, very open, it's easy to get around. You have dual steering on this particular boat. I guess now Jeanneau basically does all dual steering on all of their boats, primarily because they have a wide transom and they want to be able to give you space to look forward when you are sailing. Now, is that necessary? I guess it depends if you like dual steering or not. You have twin rudders. They're not spares, they're twin rudders, basically to give you a little bit more performance when you're sailing. All your controls for docking, your engine controls, your bow thruster. Yes, it has a bow thruster on a 35-foot boat. It's all on the starboard side of the boat. That flag you see down there is for your emergency tiller. And underneath this floorboard, you can put a life raft. You have the white transom that opens up. When you're at anchor, you want to use it as a swim platform, and your shore power connection. Now, one thing I want to show you is the propane locker. This is a very small propane tank. I think it only takes a 4.4 pound tank in here. So let's talk a little bit about performance and capacity by the numbers. This boat comes with a 54-gallon freshwater tank. If you remember from our last video, an average person consumes about 3.5 gallons per day. So that's going to give you roughly about 15-day capacity for a single person. Times 2 is going to give you about 6 to 7 day capacity for a couple. From a fuel standpoint, this boat comes equipped with a 34-gallon tank. If we stick to an average of, say, 0.8 gallons per hour, this boat is going to give you about 42.5 hours of running time, which translate to about 255 nautical miles. Now, you wouldn't run your tanks dry, not for the water or the fuel. Always account that it's going to be less range. So you always have some reserve capacity. Holding tank on this boat is 21 gallons. If you recall, an average person uses 2 gallons per day. So it's going to give you 10.5 day capacity on your holding tank. If it's two of you, figure you're going to have about 5 day capacity on your holding tank. So this boat comes with a 3.5 cubic foot refrigerator. If you consume about a quarter of a cubic foot per day, that is going to give you about 14-day capacity that you can store food-wise on your fridge. If you have two people, then cut that in half. It's going to be a 7-day capacity for a couple. The propane tank that, as I showed you before, that this boat can hold is about 4.4 pounds. So if you consume about a pound of propane a day in your cooking, that's only going to give you about 4 days worth of cooking on a single tank, give or take. So that's something to consider, and carry a spare. It won't fit in that compartment, so you would have to store it somewhere else on the boat. So you have to be mindful of storing low pressure gas or propane inside of the boat. Looking at the performance, the sail area to displacement on this boat is 18.44, which makes it a very nice sailing vessel. It's going to be quick, it's going to be agile, it's going to be very nice to sail. So, which is also the reason why a lot of people like boats like this for club racing. They're fun to race, and they're fun to sail. Comfort ratio on this boat is 22.74, which puts it right on the range for coastal cruising. So it's going to be nice for a nice 3, 4, maybe 5 days max stay on the boat while you're cruising before you have to come to shore and deal with replenishing or get comfortable again. Capsize screening ratio on this boat is 1.99. If you remember, the 2.0 is the magical number that we're looking for, and 1.99 puts it right under that, which makes it good for blue water cruising. Now, based on the other criteria that we've been talking about, I don't know that I would use this boat for a passage. I think this boat was primarily designed for that short-term cruising, 3 to 5 days, and also for your typical club racing. Looking at the European rating, both for the 2-cabin and the 3-cabin version of this boat, they rate it as an A6, which means that they feel is safe for blue water with up to 6 passengers, and good for coastal cruising with up to 8 passengers. So that's the European rating for this particular boat. So with that, folks, that concludes our walkthrough of the beautiful Jeanneau 349. For additional questions, please post them on the comment section below. I reply to all of the comments I received. Please subscribe to our channel. Click on the link below to subscribe, and click on that bell so you get notified when there's new videos coming out. I'm doing these walkthroughs about different types of boats. It's going to be different brands on the same size and different ages of boat on the same size, so keep an eye out for those. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.